Hello there, thank you for staying with us and welcome to another edition of Channels Beam. I'm Victor Matthias. Now, it's been weeks since the federal government banned the use of microblogging site in Nigeria, that's Twitter, maintaining its stance that the operation of the company in Nigeria is suspect. However, to clear whatever suspicion there is, the government has approved a team that will interface with the tech giants and are putting finishing touches in place to ensure the regulation of over-the-top services by the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission. So today on the program, we will be looking at the efficacy of the ban, the rumored plan to also ban other tech companies, the plan to tax them moving forward, and the losses being recovered or being recorded, I beg your pardon, by businesses. And we have joining us today in the Lagos studio, we have with us Edward Israel Aide. He is a communication strategist and a public relations practitioner. It's a pleasure to have you
Thank you very much
today on the show, Edward.
for having me.
And we also have joining us via Skype, we have Bola Dale Jabata. He is a multimedia journalist and a new and digital media strategist as well. It's a pleasure to have you on the program as well. You join us via Zoom from Lagos.
Bola Kale, to be precise.
Bola Kale, yes.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Indeed, you're welcome. All right, so kicks out the conversation for us, Bola Kale. We're trying to look at, how everything is going on. First and foremost, let's even start with the efficacy of this ban on Twitter by the federal government of Nigeria. How efficient would you say this has been since it came into effect?
Obviously, you can say that this has really affected a lot of people, most young people to be precise. You can see businesses who have their main space on social media, Twitter particularly, moving away to other platforms, and that's really going to take time. So it's not as if a whole lot of people would disagree with so many things, but sometimes you have to look into the importance and how that can actually contribute to the society, most especially in the country where you have a very high level of unemployment rates. And we have a high level of insecurity, and these are the things that constitute to, insecurity, where we have it everywhere. So you agree with me that I think it was a very wrong approach in the first place. The federal government is putting the first approach in their last board into the first action. Instead of them in the first place, they ought to have reached out to these people because in actual sense, they're actually reachable. So if anyone is telling you that Twitter is not reachable, it is a whole lot of big lie. So they are reachable, they are on the social media, they are everywhere. So you can actually reach out and, seek for compromise. See the way you can actually, mitigate what your demands are, which is that you've seen Twitter over the years as a platform that incites, that promotes incitement, maybe perhaps, support the answers. And I will tell you for a fact that what the federal government is actually seeing as fake news is not what the fake news is in actual sense. Fake news is misleading information. It tends to be news. But what they are seeing as fake news in their sense is that what actually serve as a threat to the government and the airlines. That's what they call fake news to them. Because in actual sense, you see a whole lot of things that attack fake news happen to be factual. But the problem they have with it is that those kind of things have a high level of impact when people read them. When people see that kind of information, they get.
Abolakale, so in other words, fake news is kind of relative. So everyone seems to have his own definition of fake news.
Yes, in their term now, what they are tagging as fake news, because it was because we saw like saying that the Twitter actually contributed to therefore during the answers. It made mention of the Bitcoin and how but it was actually true that police actually shot at some people during those times. So in actual sense, you cannot call.
Yeah, I was going to say that, that would be a discussion for another day, but let me just hold you there for a bit. Let me quickly hear from Edward, who is right here in this in the Lagos studio with us. Edward, Bolakale, has given us pretty much a very long background as to, what has happened since the ban came into effect. But, let's even look at the losses, by businesses. A lot of figures have been bandied around, in hours and, in weeks, but how would you say businesses have been affected? He also made mention of businesses, but give us like a granular, how would I put it now, explanation on how businesses are suffering from this ban.
So I'm going to use my own business for instance. I'm a public relations practitioner. What we've had happen over the past couple of weeks is that a lot of digital campaigns that were supposed to start for clients have been put on hold because a lot of companies now rely on influencer marketing a lot to push their products. You understand, digital word of mouth, where, and it's also become a source of income for a lot of Nigerian youths that you can leverage your social media following to get revenue. Do you understand? So while the government is not creating jobs for these youths, they're able to use their 50,000, 100,000 followers on social media to speak on behalf of brands to potential customers or to the audiences that clients are trying to reach. And all that has been put on hold right now. The numbers that the federal government have about this old Twitter scenario, I think they are very wrong. I've been hearing people saying that, oh, Twitter makes most of their revenue from Nigeria and all that. And people in the industry know that this is a lie. How many people actually advertise on Twitter compared to Google, compared to Facebook? Do you understand? What you see happen a lot on social media is that on Twitter, most times that people actually, brands use influencers more. So it is actually brands who pay directly to agencies, to individuals, not directly, these monies don't go to Twitter.
So Twitter is not getting the money.
Exactly.
It's the agencies and the influencers getting the money.
The influencers are getting money. The number of brands who actually advertise on Twitter, they are not that many for you to think that, oh, you're going to teach Twitter a lesson. You're just making your own citizens poorer.
Well, we understand VPN is, it's in the offing. A lot of people are using VPNs. So why can't the campaigns continue?
So here's the thing. We know how vindictive the Nigerian government can be, especially with corporates. Do you understand? A lot of brands are trying, even though there's no law actually that says that if you tweet that you're going to be arrested or anything, but a lot of people are just trying to be cautious. Do you understand? You also do not want the federal government to go after you and say, oh, even though we said there's a ban on Twitter, you're trying to circumvent the process and all that. So I can understand where brands are coming from. But what is happening is that the amount of I can say, just looking at my own agency and some conversations I've had with friends in the industry, I can say the Nigerian marketing and advertising industry would have lost at least 200 million naira. What am I saying? More than that in this period where we're just, I think it's just being egotistical because the numbers do not make any sense. You do not, it doesn't make any sense.
All right, let me quickly bring in Olugbenga Abraham Ojo. He is joining us also via Zoom from the UK. He is the founder of Law Eagles Limited, based in the UK, and is passionate about development of Nigeria in general. Abraham, thank you again for joining us on the program. But a lot of water has gone under the bridge since the program started. But in your own view, what do you make of the, what I call it, a quagmire that we're in now, between the people of Nigeria, the federal government, as well as the tech giant Twitter?
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for the listener. I would like to start by saying that I wouldn't want you to take my comment as an authoritative statement in regards to this situation we find ourselves in Nigeria. Because number one, I'm not a qualified lawyer in Nigeria, so I don't really understand or know how the legal framework in Nigeria works. However, having listened to one of my co-debaters here, I could see clearly that there are some information that we need to also correct. I understand that Twitter is a global media giant, so to speak. Because they have influence on so many people across the world, and they have the way of disseminating their information, either positively, negatively. In case of Nigeria, the situation, the way I see it, is that the Nigerian, as a as a sovereign nation, to start with, from the point of international and democratic politics, you have a obligation to set an agenda for your country, regardless of the economic viability you might think the Twitter generates from the citizens in Nigeria. If there is no country, you can't even be debating about what you generate on social media blogger. I would definitely advise that the federal government should, basically tread in with caution and also ensure that amicable resolution can be found to, number one, regulate how the media giants can interfere in the domestic matters of Nigeria as a sovereign state. And because in this world now, we have some non-actors using the same media bloggers to kind of spread fake news and destabilize the existing structures in the foreign countries. People have foreign objectives. That's why these outlets should be allowed, perhaps to further their national interest.
So let me quickly come in, Mr. Ojo. So there is a team already, that has been raised by or approved by the federal government, to interface with Twitter. What would you be expecting from that meeting between these two teams?
Fantastic. This is a very important question. What I will be expecting from that team, from my own point of view, sitting here and then looking at it from the international angle, the Federal Republic of Nigeria must be able to assert themselves as a sovereign nation, number one, and control that airspace where this information, whether it's positive or negative, is being disseminated, because the consumer of this particular information ultimately is our Nigerians.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
They need to regulate their practice. The Twitter, as a matter of urgency, ought to have a presence in Nigeria. I read that they have their headquarters in Ghana, as opposed to Nigeria. And when you look at the economic angle from that, it's not anything to really of a significant to Nigeria. Because
they actually gave reasons as to why they situated their headquarters in Ghana and not in Nigeria. But again, I'll have to hold you there for a bit. I'll come back to you in a moment. Let me quickly come back to the studio. Edward, you heard what he said. Nigeria is a sovereign state and it must assert itself. How do you react to that quickly?
So first of all, I want to let Mr. Ojo understand something, that in as much as you talk about non-state actors interfering in the sovereign the interest of a sovereign country, yeah, that exists, but it isn't Twitter. Let's not...
How sure are you it's not Twitter?
It isn't Twitter. We have people like Sheikh Gumi, and there was this Islamic cleric who go around saying all sorts of things. Those are the people that you should actually be people who disseminate false or misleading information. Do you understand? About people in mosques, in churches, and wherever. Do you understand? Those are the people that you make an example of, because there are laws that actually criminalize what those people are doing. You do not throw away the baby with the bathwater. There's research and data backing up the fact that less people see Twitter as a source of fake news. Less people. You're looking at maybe 19%. We can't just be doing things based on emotions. We need to look at the hardcore numbers. There are polls and polls and polls and polls. Now, the issue about the need to also have their office in Nigeria, you do not attract FDI by pointing guns at people's heads. Ease of doing business, you make the environment conducive for people to come and invest in your country. Twitter gave a reason. They said they went to Ghana because there was... things about free speech, about democratic norms and all that. Nigeria, they have the opportunity to effect those kind of reforms. You're not doing that. Right, what you're trying to do is you're trying to put a gun to their head and say, you have to put an office in Lagos. I can put an office in Lagos. It doesn't mean that it's going to change my company policy.
Let me quickly hear from Bola Kale. What his thoughts are on, Nigeria asserting itself as a sovereign nation, when it comes to matters like this. Bola Kale, what do you think about this? How do you think Nigeria should move up with this?
I think there is no way you say you want to regulate tech giant. You will not come in collision with the international cooperation in your country. So, and there are better ways to actually solve this problem. When you're talking about web pages, they are registered under a server. So
Okay,
the server
I'm
which
sorry.
are reachable.
Bola Kale, just before you continue, just hold your thoughts. We need to take a quick break. I'll come back to you as soon as we return so you could continue, giving us this perception as to how Nigeria kind of set itself, when it comes to this communications that they're going to have with Twitter. But we'll take a quick break and we'll be back in a moment. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We still have with us our panelists joining us via Zoom from Lagos, from London, and also right here in the Lagos studio. But just before we went on break, we were speaking to Bola Kale, who was trying to let us know how he thinks the federal government should go about this meeting they're about to have with Twitter. Bola Kale, so as you were saying earlier on, can you quickly just wrap up your thoughts on that?
Yes, when you're saying like Nigeria is a sovereign state, everybody agrees with that. But if tomorrow, maybe probably YouTube or let's say Facebook or Instagram do the same thing Twitter did, are you going to also ban them? So this is to tell you that when you're saying you want to protect the country against the external influence, you must understand that all this incitement and every other thing you claim is not coming from just a platform. So we have other platforms. You could even remember that there was in 2017 there was a rumor about the Ebola cure, which everybody was saying that we should use salt water to bath. Ebola will have to go. So that came from text message. It wasn't from Twitter. So going forward, you're going to have a whole lot of these things. So it is the responsibility of the government to make sure that they sit down and examine the proactive measure without making sure that they shut down businesses, they contribute more to the unemployment level we have in the country. So every web page has, is registered. So you have the like of Nera who actually manage the domain.ng. It's just like you're saying that MTN, Blue, so every web page is traceable to their server. So if in any case, going forward, you realize that this particular server, this particular web page or platform is causing, incitement, as you like to call it, there is a way you can actually reach out to the server, submit your.
All right. So let's look at sorry to cut to budding, but let's look at the fact that in some of these countries, say the US and the UK, we see how when there is an issue, the Senate or the House, kind of invites the CEOs of these companies. Would you like to see something like that here in Nigeria?
Yes, obviously, it's not really a bad thing, but I do not support the angle that we should have like 5, of our top leaders. Ministers, from different ministries to go and meet the Twitter team. These are things the head of operation from NBC or NCC can handle. It's not that rigid. So we do not have it. Otherwise, you can even invite these people to come and have the negotiations. These are governance works. You use here in Nigeria. They cannot, because I can tell you for free that they are the one who are actually doing business in Nigeria, and they should be willing, if at all they do not have any, another agenda, like it was said, like Lai Mehmet, they should be able to negotiate.
All right, very well. Then I'd have to say thank you for joining us today on the program. Bola Kale Jabata, you joined us via Zoom from Lagos. Thanks again. And of course, we'll keep monitoring the events and see how it goes in the nearest future.
Thank you, Fab.
Of course, you're welcome. So let me bring this back to you. Looking at the setup now of the meeting, what would you be wanting to see? Do you share with him? So you share in his view that ministers shouldn't be part of this. If you look at the delegation approved by the federal government, most of them are lawyers, except the communications, and digital economy minister. They're lawyers, so perhaps, and also the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So, you need also, that level of diplomacy in the team, someone who understands the tech ecosystem, and then you have lawyers. What do you think about the mix?
So it's, I think it's an unnecessary mix. Do you understand? First of all, things like this, and glad that you mentioned places like the USA where they call the CEOs of Facebook or Google to come before the Senate. Something like this is what you would expect the executive arm of government to pass on to the legislature. Do you understand? If the president's tweets was deleted because Twitter said it violates their policies, do you understand? Of course, Twitter is getting a bit controlling these days. That's another conversation entirely.
For another year.
Do you understand? But I would expect that you pass it on to the National Assembly. Let the Twitter team come and explain why they did that, why they've been allowing what you are calling fake news to thrive on the platform. Engage them. It shouldn't be this is a democracy. It shouldn't be one man wakes up in the morning and then gives out a press statement and says, oh, we're suspending the operations of a critical technological tool. Just like that, do you understand? Without any opportunity for anybody to engage them, without any opportunity for critical sectors of the economy who rely on that technology to maybe act like a go-between. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So there's a better approach that this could have followed. Do you understand?
Rather than the one that was followed.
Rather than the one that was followed.
All right, let me quickly bring in Abraham Ojo again. He's joining us via Zoom. Abraham, so looking at the approaches, the team that was set up and how we should go about it. In your own view, what do you think should be done? Do you think the mix first and foremost is even what it should be, and how do you think they should carry on with the deliberations?
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity once again. Again, I haven't listened to my co-debate friends here at these, having this conversation. I particularly don't have any problem with the team that has been assembled together by Nigerian government.
Well, we seem to have a little bit of a hitch with Abraham's internet. Perhaps when he sorts that out, I will get back to him again to hear his view on that. But Abraham, he was saying that he doesn't have any issue with the mix. And again, that's his opinion, but,
I can totally understand where various people stand on this issue. But as a public relations practitioner, I'm looking at it from two very important angles. One is the approach and the economic side of things. And then one also is from a strategic communications point of view. Nigeria wants to position as the country where tech is the new oil. Flutterwave, Andela, companies like that, they have success stories coming out of Nigeria.
They have attracted a lot of millions in dollars.
Nigeria wants to position. Gone are the days when Nigeria was only good for 419 and prostitution and certain things. And then, of course, everybody knew us for sports. Now, there are other things. There's Nollywood. And then there's tech. Young people who, despite the harsh economic reality, are innovating, are creating tools that are revolutionizing banking and health and the like. Against that background, where you're trying to position as the darling of the tech industry, you need to also sit down and gauge how you make certain decisions. I'm not saying that sacrifice Nigeria's sovereignty in exchange for FDI, but I'm saying that when you make those decisions, look at the brand impact. The Nigeria brand, how does it affect? Because you're going out, you're going to all these foreign bilateral meetings and all that. You're selling Nigeria.
Selling yourself, and you're
trying to bring in companies to come and set up in Nigeria. You're trying to bring in maybe movie makers to come and shoot in Nigeria and create jobs locally.
This in a nutshell might just not be a good picture.
I'm saying that, and of course, there should be people who understand PR in the government. This doesn't make Nigeria look good. This is actually shooting yourself in the foot.
Well, let's hope that food doesn't get rotten before a remedy is found. Well, I have to say thank you as well to you, Edward, for joining us today on the program and sharing your thoughts. Unfortunately, we couldn't get back Abraham Ojo, who was joining us via Zoom from London, to complete his thoughts on this. But that's where we would have to wrap the show today. Thank you so very much for watching, and we hope that very soon the quagmire will be resolved and everything would be returned to normal. Hopefully that happens soon. I'm Victor Matthias. Thank you for watching.